So today I'd like to introduce a potential new series to the channel. It's pretty self-explanatory by the title, but it's pretty much where I make relatively shorter game reviews compiled all into one video. If this were to become a full-on series, I'm going to be doing 5 games for every part. And another thing is the fact that a lot of these games are either older or indie games, so that's why they're not turned into full reviews. I would still like to do my much longer reviews in the future, of course, but in the meantime, let's get started. Now, before I get into the first game, I just wanted to say that these aren't organized in any order whatsoever. I would love to do another part in the future, of course, but I only play so many games at a time, so the next part would probably be in a couple months. But with that being said, let's get started. So this is a game I first played back in November off of Game Pass. It's called Katana Zero and is a 2D action platformer featuring breakneck action and instant death combat. The story is about this guy called Zero, hence the name of the game Katana Zero. He is the result of a government experiment code named Null, which was designed to create the perfect super soldiers. Through the use of a highly dangerous and insane drug named Chronos, it gave them godlike reflexes and precognition. Soldiers like these were used in the Mecha War, but due to the fact that child's murders were leaked, they were pulled and the drug was engineered to have extremely lethal withdrawal symptoms. So Zero pretty much needed the drug to survive and used it to work for the sinister government puppet masters in order to survive. The drug also gave severe memory loss, so we couldn't tell the difference between past and present, fact from fiction, and dream versus reality. Wow. I originally installed Katana Zero because the gameplay looked really original and satisfying. It gives a great challenge since you can one-shot people, but you're also one-hit at the same time, so you have to really strategize on how you're going to advance in the game. You have one opportunity, or you have to reset the section or area, and as I went on and played, I couldn't help but notice how immersive the story felt. I ended up completing the game in a couple hours, just because of how interesting and innovative it seemed. The mechanics, controls, and sounds are all amazing in this game, and I think that it's one of my favorite indie games.
Nearly 60% of our planet has been consumed by the invaders.
We have the Hell Priest signal locked in. The target is marked, but the signal will not hold for long.
For it is he that they fear, not man. For his armies, they feared the mark of the beast.
So I was originally only going to put about 10 seconds from that cutscene, but I ended up putting a lot more just because of how much I love it. But yeah, Doom Eternal, one of the best single-player first-person shooter games of all time in my opinion. It was nominated as a Game of the Year this year, and has brought so many new eyes to the Doom franchise. I want to explain why I love this game so much and why I would have personally chosen it to be Game of the Year. This is one of the more difficult games when it comes to the single-player shooters. I mean, the 3rd or 4th difficulty out of the 6 felt like it was one of the hardest. Literally every decision you make in this game matters, since enemies will come flying at you almost constantly. You have a weapon wheel with so many different upgrades and ways to capitalize with them. Some guns are better for other enemies, and it genuinely takes so much skill. I could go super into detail, but it would honestly take way too long. I also think Doom Guy is honestly one of the coolest characters overall, since he kind of doesn't really have any dialogue. He kind of just walks around destroying planets and stuff. He's just a really cool character in my opinion. Doom Eternal offers you a lot as an overall package. There's a multiplayer mode, which is really fun with friends in my opinion. Really long missions. You get a good 15 to 20 hours of gameplay in the story, just depending on which difficulty you pick, so it's really cool. Grounded is another one of those games that I got off Game Pass. It was originally a game that I thought I would play with a friend for an hour or two, then proceed to uninstall it. Turns out, it wasn't really the case. As soon as I loaded into the game, I realized how this was easily one of the most impressive games I've ever seen visually. I quickly noticed that it wasn't the only cool thing about this game. Grounded is a survival game that honestly feels like a mix of Minecraft, Subnautica, and even Ark in a way. In the game, players are shrunk to the size of an ant and attempt to survive the dangers of a backyard. There are an impressive amount of bugs and insects. Ones like ants, ladybugs, bombardier beetles, honeybees, weevils, stink bugs, orb weavers, and wolf spiders. I'm going to talk about the wolf spiders in a little bit because they honestly terrified me in this game. But yeah, there are specific bugs to kill to make sure you have food, and you need to find water often to make sure that you don't die of thirst. It's a quite entertaining and simple game, yet it isn't always beautiful. At night, insects start spawning and it becomes rather difficult, especially the wolf spiders. They're so much quicker, stronger, and bigger than you, so if you see one, you should honestly hope that you either have really good armor or shelter nearby, because if you don't, then you're pretty much dead. Overall, I genuinely love this game, and I really like how it encourages you to explore, since it's kind of the only way you can progress properly in this game. Halo 5 is a rather interesting one. It's like if you threw Master Chief into a completely different game. Now, I understand that Master Chief isn't the entire Halo brand. We've seen games like Halo Reach, ODST, and even Halo Wars. But you have to understand that Master Chief is also the face and the foundation of their franchise at the same time. But that's not all, it's a mainline Halo game. The story focuses on a person with almost no character development, and it honestly makes me lose motivation to even touch the game. Halo 5 is a weird one for me because it's not a game that I like, but I can sometimes have fun with it. The gameplay is pretty decent for the most part, but one thing I dislike is the mechanics and movement. All of the advanced movement bothers me so much because it's not like Halo at all. The ground pound and dash don't bother me in the story, but multiplayer is a different conversation. And as for the story, it's bad. That's really all I have to say. I don't understand how we got from Halo 4 to 5. The focus of the story is on irrelevant characters, and it doesn't have that Halo formula. Nothing in this game's story really even feels like Halo or impresses me at all. The only thing I can say I remotely enjoy is multiplayer and maybe even Forge. Super Mario Party. Now, this is a game that I got back in the fall of 2018. Now, it seems pretty odd to review right now because it's been like 2 years since the initial release, but I figured I should talk about it. The reason is because it's had a recent update that allowed online play on the main game. It's had online before, but it was only for the Mario-thon mode, which had like 12 minigames, so it gets boring pretty quickly. Now that it's had online for a little while, I've actually started to play it a lot more with my friend, and I really enjoy it. If you're not familiar with the game, Mario Party is a party game featuring characters from the Mario franchise. Every game in the main series has a standard party mode in which up to 4 players play through a board, trying to collect as many stars as possible. In every turn, each player rolls a dice block and progresses on the board, which usually has branching paths. You also earn coins, which can get you items or stars. On Super Mario Party, they do minigames in every mode very well. My only complaint with this game is the lack of maps for normal Mario Party. There's only about 4 maps, with one of them being an unlockable. Other than that, everything else in this game is great. I highly recommend it, especially when playing with a group of friends or family. So those are my 5 for today. I could see myself doing another one of these in the future, but it'll probably be a while until I actually do. So I'm thinking this is my last video until E3 because I really want to make one on some stuff, whether it comes to showcases or presentations. And that's really all for today. If you enjoyed the video, be sure to leave a like or consider subscribing because I do plan on working on more videos like these. And until the next one, see ya.